What's up, everybody? Nick Dwyer back for the 10th inning here with another episode of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's edition, we saw Usain Bolt break the 100-meter dash record at the 2009 World Athletics Championships. We do have some more world records to be broken today, not by Usain Bolt. We also have a couple no-hitters to get into and some PGA championships to talk about. So if y'all enjoy this video, leave a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get to it. And if you're interested in the MLB, I will have a link down in my description to my blog giving you my weekly power rankings. We have some big movements in the power rankings this week. We have a couple teams going up big, a couple teams falling down big. If you're into the MLB, you don't want to miss this. But now, let's get into the video. This Day in Sports History. We'll start off today in 1904 in Major League Baseball, and the Boston Americans pitcher Jesse Tannehill would no-hit the Chicago White Sox in a 6-0 victory. Tannehill on the day, 9 innings pitched, 1 walkout, 4 strikeouts. Stay in Major League Baseball, moved to 1933, Lou Gehrig would play in his 1,308th consecutive game, breaking former Yankee Everett Stott's record. Gehrig would go on to play in 2,130 consecutive games, and he would hold this record until 1995, when Cal Ripken Jr. would break it. 33 years later, we remain in Major League Baseball in 1966, and Willie Mays would officially take second place on the all-time home run list after hitting his 535th home run to pass Jimmy Fox. This home run would come off of Ray Washburn, and he would hold second place for a little bit until Hank Aaron would eventually surpass him. Now we move to golf. In 1969 at the PGA Championship, Raymond Floyd, with a score of 8 under, would win his first of 4 major titles, 1 stroke ahead of runner-up Gary Player. Right back to Willie Mays in 1973, Mays would end up hitting his 660th and final home run off of Don Gullett, good for what at that time would be third all-time behind Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron. 7 years later in 1980, in Major League Baseball, we have a player who would become the second closest to batting 400 in a season since 1941. George Brett would go 4 for 4 in the game, raising his average on the season to 401. He would end up not getting it, finishing the season with a 390 average, the second closest since Williams in 1941. Tony Gwynn in the strike-shortened 1994 season would end up hitting 394. 7 years later, go to 1987, and Muhammad Ali would be elected to Ring Magazine's Boxing Hall of Fame. Obviously, Muhammad Ali, no need for me really to talk about him. Everyone knows what he could do. One of, if not the greatest boxer of all time. Move up to 1989. At the 32nd edition of the Walker Cup, Britain and Ireland would defeat the USA 12.5 to 11.5, giving them only their 3rd victory at the time. And this would end up being their 3rd of 9 overall victories. Also in 89, in Major League Baseball, Baltimore Orioles shortstop Cal Ripken Jr. would move into 3rd place all-time with his 1,208th consecutive game played, on his way to breaking Lou Gehrig's record. 3 years later in 1992, Kevin Gross, pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers, would throw the only 9-inning no-hitter of the season in a 2-0 win over the Giants. Gross on the day, 9 innings pitched, 2 walks allowed, 6 strikeouts in the no-hitter. Back to the PGA Championship in 1997, Davis Love III, at 11 under, would win his only major title, 5 strokes ahead of runner-up Justin Leonard. Stay at the PGA Championship in 2003, Shawn Micheel, with a score of 4 under, would win his only major, 2 strokes ahead of runner-up Chad Campbell. Now we go to the 2004 Athens Olympics, and Yana Torkova of the Ukraine would win the 200-meter individual medley in 2 minutes 11.14 seconds to wrap up the 200, 400-meter individual medley double. 4 years later, we go to 2008, and we have a lot to talk about in 2008, but let's start off with golf. At the Canadian Open on the women's side, Catherine Hall at 11 under would win 1 stroke ahead of runner-up Sairi Pak. Now we get into the Beijing Olympics in 2008, and we will start when China would win its 33rd gold medal of those games, defeating Singapore in the table tennis women's team event, making it the most successful Olympics for China ever, with their 33rd gold medal. 4 years after winning the Athens Olympics in the rowing quad, Rebecca Romero of Great Britain would become only the second woman to earn medals in 2 different sports at those summer games, when she would win the pursuit track cycling gold as well. Move over to the track side now, and Jamaica would dominate the 100 meters at those games on the women's side when Shelly Ann Fraser would take the gold in 10.78 seconds, besting her teammates Sharon Simpson and Karen Stewart, who would both take silver at 10.98 seconds. Then in the 3,000 meter steeplechase, Gulnara Samitova-Garkina of Russia would win the gold in a world record 8 minutes 58.81 seconds, one that would stand for 8 years. Now we move over to swimming, and we will start with probably the greatest Olympian ever. In the US, Michael Phelps, as part of the 4x100 medley relay team, would win his 8th gold medal of those games, breaking Mark Spitz's 1972 record of 7 gold medals in one Olympics. They would do this in a world record time of 3 minutes 29.34 seconds, one that would end up being broken at the World Championships next year, but that's a record that they still hold today. Then in the women's 50 meter freestyle, Britta Steffen of Germany, with a time of 24.06 seconds, would beat Dara Torres by 0.01 second to wrap up the 50-100 meter double. Finally in swimming, at the 4x100 medley relay, the Australian women's team would swim a world record 3 minutes 52.69 seconds to earn the gold, and this would be a record that would stand for 1 year. Finally at those games in 2008, Rafael Nadal of Spain would defeat Fernando Gonzalez 6-3, 7-6, 6-3 to win the gold in the men's tennis singles and become the first ever Olympic gold medalist from Spain in tennis. 6 years later in 2014, we go to the LPGA Championship, and defending champion Inbee Park with 11 under would defeat runner-up Brittany Lincecum on the first hole of a sudden death playoff to win her 5th of 7 majors. Move up 1 year to 2015, and 2012 Olympic 1500 meter champion Asli Kakir Alptekin would be stripped of her gold medal by the IAAF after it was found out that she was doping. We end today's video off in 2016 at the Rio de Janeiro Olympics with 3 separate events. We will start in the women's 100 meter hurdles, and there would be an American sweep with Brianna Rollins McNeil taking the gold ahead of Nia Ali and Christy Castlin, who would take silver and bronze. This would be the first time that the US would sweep the medals in an Olympic women's track and field event. Then in the women's 200 meter, Elaine Thompson of Jamaica would win in 21.78 seconds to wrap up the 100 200 meter double. Finally, in the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase, Conseslus Kipruto of Kenya would record an Olympic record 8 minutes 3.28 seconds to win the gold. So there you have it. That's what happened on this day in sports history. If I left anything out, I do apologize. If I mispronounced any names, I also apologize. But I'll see everybody tomorrow for Nico Dwyer in the 10th inning. See ya.